Do you know one thing from my youth that I weirdly miss because we don't really encounter it so much anymore these days? Is toxic smells. Do you know what I mean? Those toxic smells we used to have back, well, if you're a Gen Xer like me, the smells we had back in the 80s that you don't really encounter so much anymore because nowadays they've kind of like detoxified everything. Well, I mean, they haven't really. They've put all the toxins in our food and into our bodies, but the things that we use and encounter every day are not so toxic anymore, or at least they don't smell so toxic. Like, for example, there were all these things we used in school, like glue, tons of glue, right? We were always gluing things, but kids don't glue things anymore, do they? And you get it all over your hands, and the smell was lovely, wasn't it? And markers as well. We had really strong smelling markers and Tipex. Anyone else remember always buying Tipex? And I had this obsession with the bottle always having to be immaculate and the Tipex nice and smooth. And then I discovered Tipex thinner. And then that was another thing I became obsessed with, thinning my Tipex. And I was always sat there shaking my Tipex bottle. And I remember handing in homework that was so covered in Tipex because not only would you Tipex words, but entire sentences and sometimes a whole paragraph. And then you'd be blowing it and flapping that paper around trying to make that Tipex dry because if you write on it before it's fully dried, you remember what happened, right? The ink would just smear over the semi-dry Tipex. So you'd have to Tipex it again. It would end up so thick and crusty. Young people listening to this no doubt thinking, what the frig is Tipex? And eventually our teachers banned the use of Tipex. Did yours? Oh my God, that was so traumatizing when we had to go back to crossing out. And didn't you just hate crossing out? Because it was so ugly and messy. And I didn't want them to see my stupid, incorrect thought processes, right? So I would do multiple lines of crossing out so they couldn't read through it. Oh. And I remember books also used to smell really nice. The ink they used to print them. I'd be reading a book and then I just bury my face in it and inhale. Anybody else do that? And then when I got a bit older, I got into reading magazines and I'd inhale those too. And I used to love sitting next to my mom when she was doing her nails, the nail polish and the nail polish remover. Oh, I'd be like, and who doesn't love the smell of petrol stations? Oh, that's got to be one of the best. And train stations. Back in the days when they used to pump out loads of pollution, the Intercity 125s, and the ones that came before them, those really beefy looking trains with that big snout in the front. I don't remember what those trains were called. Yeah, these ones. Anyone remember those good looking locomotives? They were so butch. They used to turn me on. I'm not even joking. And the smell of jet fuel when you're boarding a plane. Oh, that's nice too. Oh, and here's one I've not smelled in a long time. The stairwell of a car park, the way they used to smell. I mean, I don't know, maybe they still smell like this nowadays. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. But I'm talking about the materials they used to build the stairwell, the concrete or whatever it was. I don't think it's a smell of asbestos, is it? I don't know. Because I've never actually, like, knowingly sniffed asbestos before. So I don't know what it smells like. But yeah, I miss all those toxic smells. And now, as a boring adult, I'm obsessed with avoiding toxins. But anybody else out there love their toxic smells? And have I left out any good ones?